everyone. My name is Kayla Schneider, and I am joined by my teammate and colleague, Liz Beth Fernandez. We are both solutions engineers here at Virtuous. Before coming to Virtuous, I actually worked in higher education fundraising for over a decade, where I used Razor's Edge. And what my primary role there was everything really around data entry, getting data out. So really imagining trying to figure out data health, data hygiene, how to get best workarounds to make our team more efficient and effective, really trying to figure out how to make a system work that wasn't super user friendly. And I know, Lizbeth, you had a very similar experience.
Yeah, so I also worked in nonprofits. Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Beth. I worked on the operations side, both in healthcare and then in higher education for about 16 years, focusing on all things reporting, database management, prospect research, also oversaw donor communications. I was essentially the go-to person for any data needs, overseeing any integrations between systems, making sure things are communicating with each other, and also processes were working efficiently and effectively. So I used Razor's Edge first and then kind of transitioned into RENXT. So yeah, a lot of experience kind of using those products. So I know, Kayla, when we both came to Virtuous, it was really eye-opening for us to be able to see what Virtuous can do and really help us to be more efficient and kind of effective in our day.
Yeah, so for us, Virtuous made a huge difference when we think about that idea of what a frontline fundraiser would look at. So here we are on our dashboard, and this is the very first place that when people log in, they see, but also I feel like it's a huge difference maker. When we think about the dashboard, our frontline fundraisers, this is like a one-stop shop for them. They don't need to even leave the screen because there's so many different things that they can see here. They have reports that are here ready for them to go, those high-level views, but also specifically around their portfolio in general. For me, my team had to pull queries every day to show our gift officers and our frontline fundraisers, these are the gifts that came in for your specific donors. With Virtuous, I wouldn't have to do that. My team would get that time back in their day. But also being able to see, quick level views of donors by year. Even when we think about projects, let's think about, that idea of like a fund or where money is designated to be able to think about our annual giving manager. She would ask me all the time. I had to create reports specifically for her of where we were standing when our annual fund. So really being able to have that information here that I don't have to create would make a huge difference, but also giving my team the data they need at their fingertips.
Yeah, it was so difficult for any of our gift officers to access any information. Really, usually one or two people on staff that was available to kind of pull that for them. But looking at the dashboard, I really love this idea of task management here. So before, I used to be the one who would assign any tasks or reminders for any frontline fundraisers to make any kind of call for donors. But within Virtuous, we're able to have the system kind of do a lot of that work for you. Fundraisers will know right when they log into the system what they need to focus on for that day. All their tasks kind of pull into this dashboard, but then you can have these tasks added through automations or this idea of automated tasks. So think about having the system add those for maybe first-time gifts or maybe upcoming birthdays. One that I always highlight is this idea of a single gift threshold exceeded. Just because I used to be the one on Monday mornings, I have to kind of look at all the gifts that came in, kind of pull queries to find anything that came in over $1,000 or more, and then assign that out to gift officers to make those thank you calls for them. But here, having the system do that for you really not only saves times for us, but also ensures that it's happening for all your donors. You're removing that human element from their kind of that error rate, and also making sure it's happening in a more timely manner.
100%. And I think not only the tasks would be huge for a frontline fundraiser, but the same idea of our best calls to make today, really using like current AI to serve up opportunities for our frontline fundraisers that they maybe not have known of before, right? Looking at this idea of maybe a financial ask or a social ask, using that social impact, which is so different than just looking at our donors as, maybe ATMs. But also being able to see that idea of retention and using this information specifically by portfolio so that your frontline fundraisers know, who to call next and what asks to be looking at and to make. And I know, Lizbeth, another portion of this Virtuous that your team would have thought was huge would be this idea of our gift ask pipeline.
Yeah, I love this gift ask pipeline. I just get so excited when I see it, because really I used to have to be the one manually creating this every 2 weeks for our major gift meeting. Very difficult to do in Raise Edge, a lot of exports, merging and access. Never looked as great as this, but this gift ask pipeline is really that high level look of all of your portfolio, all your prospects. So you know what that goal looks like for all your team members, if they're tracking against goal. You could also look at all those kind of opportunities around different statuses. So being able to have both weighted and actual total, so you really have a good handle on whether you're going to hit goal this year and what that strategy looks like. A fundraiser can kind of easily drag and drop things between stages. So just a really easy and efficient way to be able to kind of visualize this.
For sure. And I think beyond that, when we think about easy, effective ways for our team to work, is where we really think about automations. Automations, the idea of workflows, doing those database tasks that you talked about, automatically having the system give them to you. So either adding tags, assigning out portfolios. I think that's something, Lizbeth, that your team did a lot, was that idea of even just portfolio creation.
Yeah, just again, kind of going back on that whole portfolio management and prospect management, something that would have been manual, but you could have automations do a lot of that heavy lifting for you. First, maybe identify some potential leads in the system, looking at donor ratings and maybe regions, and then assigning those into prospect pools. You could then also have those same prospects move into like maybe discovery assignments for any of those frontline fundraisers, or maybe assign them to some of your research staff to do some more research. Also able to then move people in and out of portfolios as well. But something I probably would have used it for too is looking at inactivity in portfolios. So maybe your fundraiser hasn't reached out to prospecting their portfolio for the last 6 months. You can have a system add a task to remind them. Maybe they haven't been able to get to them. That really just bubbles that up and populates for them in that dashboard, so they know they have to reach out to them. I know you also have some pretty creative ideas, Kayla, on how you would have used automations at your organization.
Yeah, so for me, really the idea of creating our donor journeys. So for me, donor loyalty was big. So at higher education, really thinking about that donor who gives 2 years in a row, 3 years in a row, 4 years in a row, and really giving them, like letting them know that you notice that, it's huge. And so because our marketing engine is built into Virtuous, we actually can, do those database tasks that Lizbeth was talking about, adding tags, adding people to email lists, or even tasks for thank you calls. But I can also actually send out emails and text messages, and also what we call letters on demand, which are postcards or letters that are actually printed, stamped, and mailed on your team's behalf without you even touching them. So being able to create these stewardship journeys that will allow you to have those soft touches with your donors without your team actually having to spend any time. This idea of donor loyalty was a whole position at my job, and Virtuous would have taken that away, giving her the time to then spend more time connecting with our donors as well, and giving us back that time, that efficiency. And so efficiency was huge for me. And I think another spot that I say a lot of efficiency that was lacking when our team was trying to work in Razor's Edge is this idea of gift entry. Just entering gifts can be so much easier. When I look at Virtuous, I can actually create records, I can update contact information, and I can process gifts all in the same screen. I don't have to leave and then come back and leave and come back and do all of these things. It's all going to be happening at one time. And so I love that Virtuous, what we do, actually it's bucketing these gifts into 3 different buckets. I have a ready for import bucket, I have an update needed bucket, and a match needed. So ready for import is really that idea, that low hanging fruit. I don't need to look at these people. They're automatically attaching to the right records and making sure that it's going to the right person. Match needed is where it's thinking, like, I don't have this person in my system yet. Let me create this information, create that record, and then process the gift at the same time. And then update needed is that quality assurance. Let's make sure that we're getting the right data in the first time. So here, I just have a different email address for Lynn Kelly. Do I want to update that? Do I want to ignore it? The same as when we think about our addresses. I can add it as a primary address, add it as a secondary address, or ignore it. And then at the same time, again, process that data in the exact same screen. And so that idea of data health and integrity, I think, is so huge here at Virtuous. And I know, Lizbeth, your team spent a lot of time around data health.
Yeah, especially as you're thinking of doing this automation, it's so important for that data to be clean and free of duplicates. So I love the fact that you're able to be proactive here before that data even gets into your system. You're really able to control those duplicates and ensure that everyone's getting the right communication at the right time. So that was something that would have been big for us, just having all that in one spot for us. So I really enjoy kind of sharing with you some different ways in which you can use Virtuous. If you're interested in learning more about Virtuous and how we can help your organization reduce silos in departments and free up time for mission critical fundraising, simply complete our contact form and someone will reach out to you. Thank you.